Page, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being no preliminary matters on the AM docket, case number 1, Kwai Yoon Lin and Luan Ying Lee, MC House LLC, trading as 18-8 727 West 40th Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, restaurant license under the provisions of 12-1603 CII, requiring $200,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities and a seating capacity for a minimum of 75. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants Kwai Yoon Lin and Luan Ying Lee.
Good morning. Anyone who is going to testify, please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay.
Do they
So,
state their full name for the record?
when they speak, if you will do that, anyone today who's going to speak, please step up to the microphone, give us your name, because the gentleman here to my left has to take it down. And if it's an unusual name, please spell it for him, okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, and good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. You have a busy day, so hopefully this one will be among the easier ones. I'm going to submit to you a courtesy copy for you, packet, and one for Ms. Russell. Thank you. And what you'll see in there is first a menu for the proposed restaurant, 18-8 Sushi, at the Rotunda. Additionally, you'll find a floor plan that was previously submitted with the application, showing 80 to 85 seats, non-bar seats, non-outdoor table seats. Additionally, you'll find an email from Matt Stegman, the president of the Hamden Community Council, and an MOU that is at this time not signed. And I'll explain that in a minute, but there is an agreement. There is definitely an agreement between all parties here. Additionally, I want to give you one more exhibit, and that is a letter from Christopher Bell, the Senior Vice President of Development for Hakimian Development, who has developed the Rotunda.
Thank you. The documents will be received.
I'll give you one second. If I got to read these numbers off. And you'll see in that letter from Mr. Bell that he's indicating that the property, the investment of the owner, Grand Rotunda LLC, has made $56 million of improvements into the retail portion of the Rotunda complex. That's 155,000 square feet of retail space and another 500,000 square feet of office and residential space. So what they've done is they've taken the square footage of the restaurant area, 2,606 square feet, which is 1.7% of the total retail area. Based on the $56 million investment, that would be around a $952,000 capital investment. Additionally, my own clients have put about $150,000 into the property with respect to AC, hoods, and all the other property that goes into a restaurant. So I want to present that for the file. Thank you.
Be received.
And that formula has been used before in other large retail projects like Canton Crossing.
Cite one?
Canton Crossing, absolutely.
Can you, citing one where that formula was used in conjunction with an application for a liquor license where there was a minimum investment amount.
Right, there's a $200,000 minimum investment
There is,
here.
but I guess where I'm going is I don't know how we assign someone else's investment to this application.
Well,
And I would like to know if there's some precedent for that.
Well, the board for many, many years has indeed, in fact.
I don't really care about what prior boards have done because that really doesn't so much serve as precedent. I'd like to know what's been done in the last 3 or 4 years since there have been new board members
I feel pretty comfortable.
acting.
Sure. I feel pretty comfortable.
I really don't care what your
in the
board
past 2 years that you all have approved such licenses for landlord improvements as an inducement to get a tenant to sign. Capital investment, the capital investment, if it's done by the landlord, they're tons of new places, and I sometimes don't represent them. They're big projects.
I think, see, I'll just tell you where I'm laboring. I think in those circumstances, we've had applicants who are also the owners of the building. So that's where I'm having a little trouble with this one.
Well, I mean, this is a 5-figure monthly lease, 5-year lease. This is, they're putting substantial investment. I'm trying to think, because I don't know that since you've been on the board, I believe I have done one, in fact, I've got one for you.
Okay.
Somerset Development, and if you guys want to pull the file, Somerset Development, Cafe Feely, 816 Cathedral Street. I did it. We used the same formula therein. I knew I remembered it. So I mean, I didn't
Okay.
decide to do it this way
Was
for
there
the first time.
another restaurant in the space previously?
No, it was
Brand new?
Brand new.
Okay.
And it's I'd
I
argue.
know they've renovated the rotunda, but I mean, in its prior iteration, was there something in there?
Mr. Barry, who's our planning consultant, he may be able to answer that, but I don't think there was. And as part of this
Might have been
grand.
the hair cuttery.
Yeah, right.
If you identify yourself, please.
Yes, Alfred W. Barry, planning consultant for Hakimian, B-A-R-R-Y. And just to answer the question, the rotunda consists of 2 phases. One is the existing rotunda, the historic building that was renovated. It had a number of uses, like the hair cuttery. And then there was a new building which has almost 300 apartments above it, above retail. This new restaurant would be in the new construction.
Okay, I understand.
And thank you, Mr. Barry. And let me just further go on. I'm just glad my memory's still pretty good. But in the 816 Cathedral Street Cafe Feely, I remember specifically the developer, Somerset Development, had put $14 million into that building. The cafe below, which used to be, I think it was bread and chocolate. It was a.
Oh, it was,
You know what I'm talking about, though. You know, for water. I don't. Milk and honey.
milk and honey.
Thank you. All
Who
right,
said that?
Mr. Barry,
Okay,
for the record.
milk and honey.
In
Okay.
any event, that was $14 million investment. The footprint of the cafe below was more than the small amount that's in this one. It was, I want to say, like 5 to 8% of the total building. And in that case, you did in fact attribute the landlord's improvements, and Cafe Feely is rented by the applicant now.
So what is the background of the applicants?
The applicants have no direct liquor experience. However, they do have extensive retail experience. They own a store called Earl's Grocery at 1214 East Lafayette Avenue that does not sell alcohol. It is a general store, carry out food items, and they understand what they're getting into. They put their life savings on the line for these improvements, the air conditioning, hood, et cetera, and for the 5-figure per month lease to open this sushi restaurant.
And who's going to manage the alcohol portion of it?
Lynn and Lee will, both of them will. They are, they're hands-on with this. And
They've been trained?
No, but they will become alcohol management certified pending your preliminary approval today.
And what's the estimated opening of this?
December 31st, January 1st.
Okay, and the MOU, what's the status of it?
Yeah, let me just go into that just for a minute. We were happy to have the applicants meet with the Hamden Community Council on Monday night with Mr. Barry's help. I was out of town. The parties agreed generally to an MOU, and the terms thereof, here, let me pull my copy out. The terms thereof, really, there's these MOUs, and they have lots of terms, but then there's always the important terms, the ones that we go back and forth on. In this case, hours of operation are not a problem. They have agreed to close by midnight every night of the week. Their business model doesn't have them doing late hours. They agree that they won't open until 10 a.m. Every day, 9 o'clock on Sundays for brunch if they so choose. Let me get to the, there it is. Hours and operations of establishment, first page, again.
I see, I mean, we can read this, but what was the community's main concerns with it?
The community's main concerns, as they often are parking, traffic, which are not really an issue with the new rotunda with the parking garage. But the biggest one is often carry out. Do we sell shorties? Do we sell 40s? Do we sell miniatures? Do we encourage people to come back again and again and again and only purchase alcohol at our restaurant? So that certainly is not in their business model. That is not what they want to be, and they're in the rotunda. So it's a little different than being on West 36th Street as far as having lots of local traffic, having someone wait for a bus, for example. So in this situation, they have agreed that they will not sell any pints or singles of beer other than imported beer at any time for carryout, and that they will never sell liquor of any kind for carryout. We agreed, we haven't signed it yet, but we tentatively agreed that they would agree not to sell any bottles of wine below 750 mils in quantity. However, I was speaking with them, and there is a cold Korean sake and some sake products that come in smaller vessels, and that is indeed rice wine. So I reached out to the president about this about 10 minutes before our hearing, and obviously he said, that sounds like a plan, but I have many other board members to bounce this off of, so we'll get back to you. So the bottom line, though, is that we're going to enter into an MOU with the Hamden Community Council
And
and
they will agree that to the extent that it's enforceable, it will be a restriction on their license?
exactly.
And ladies, you're prepared to sign an MOU once it's finalized? Okay, your name, please?
My name is Q Yang Lin.
Okay.
Last name Lin. First name Qiuyun.
Okay. Okay, do the commissioners have questions?
I have a question. Where exactly will you be located?
Mr. Barry, you want to come on up here? Yeah, they're going to be located across from the cinema, and there's a courtyard.
Are you going to be in that freestanding building?
No, this
You're
is in a building that has an L-shaped, essentially. One shape has a Cinebistro that's been open, and the other side has a yoga studio.
Yeah,
and-
so you're going to be near the yoga studio. And will your patrons have access to the garage for free, or will you be offering a discount to your patrons in order to access the garage? Because I believe the garage has started charging now.
Well, the garage has stamped tickets for up to 4 hours, I believe. It was really to keep long-term parking by Hopkins, which is next door.
God, Hopkins.
It was-
Yeah.
As well as some of the employees from Keswick and Roland Park Place.
I think all the Roland Park Place people are the bigger problem. So there will be an inducement to use that garage because there's very limited parking on the property itself. Can you all answer? Yes, that there will be?
We have to stamp it, so their parking is for free.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much. And your plan really is just to be serving beer and wine with the sushi? And, yes?
Going to say,
And-
she told me it was going to be 10%, they're expecting about 10% of their dollars to be alcohol.
Okay, and very limited sales off premises? Yes? Okay, thank you.
And you can seat 75 people?
80 to 85.
Okay.
I have one more thing to, what I was going to say is that we understand generally that, that the community associations frown upon carry-out of alcohol, and they don't expect to do really much business at all in alcohol carryout, but they just do want to be able to offer, especially with food, if somebody wants some alcohol to go, that they have the ability to do that. So I hope you'll come out. They're looking forward to putting out a very good product, and I hope you'll come and visit. Thank you very much.
Anything further from commission?
No.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis then of the information that is contained in the application, the proffers from council, the evidence that's been received this morning, and the testimony received, I would vote to approve the application.
It just dawned on me, we don't have any substantiation of the 200,000. Well, I guess you're relying on the 900,000. Strike that. You're relying on the 900,000 being a portion from the property owner's work to that space. So
Correct.
that's what you're relying on.
Yes, I am, as in my 816 Cathedral Street case.
Well,
which-
I'm not talking about that.
I'm just saying
But
there's
you also mentioned that there was a $150,000 investment by these applicants. Did I hear that correctly?
did.
And do you have any documentation of that?
No, I don't, based on the exorbitant
No,
amount
well,
of
I didn't-
investment put in
well,
by the
I'm just
landlord.
asking you, do you have documentation of the $150,000, or is that just something?
I do not have it in my
Aspirational.
file. No, it is an estimate provided by my client.
Okay.
If the board
Okay.
feels that that $150,000 is necessary to comply with the statute, then we'd be happy to submit it.
Okay. Is it on me? Okay, I approve.
I would concur with my colleagues and approve this, and would also reference the Anthem House, I believe, is another similar one where there was investment by the developer, but I would concur. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies, good luck. I hope things go well.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to call the exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, Business Plan. Applicant Exhibit 2, Love Support, dated 10/26/17, from Hycomenian Development. Thank you.
Right. It's
Rustem,
all contingent on
Keskin,
them actually supporting.
Barat Nuri, Nuru, Inc., trading as Jimmy's, 801 South Broadway, Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, an application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant licensed under the provisions of Alcoholic Beverage Article 12-903, small c, 2, small I, requiring $500,000 in capital investment, seating capacity for a minimum of 75 people. The request is for outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Gentlemen, would you raise your right hands, please?
Swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. William Bauer, B-A-U-E-R, here with the owners of
Mr.
Do you know
Chairman,
whether-
before we start, I have to ask this. Mr. Bauer, did you get that necklace from Francesca's? I think my kids go there.
It's my ambassador chain. It was given to me by somebody from the, yeah.
Just out of, my apologies.
It's real plastic, trust me. Thank you.
Look at with the hair.
It matches my eyes.
Another preliminary is that I noticed that Jimmy's showed up on my firm's conflict sheet. Do you know whether they've ever been represented by Whiteford, Taylor, and Preston?
No, this is the new owner, Jimmy, so I don't, have you been
I've
represented?
been before.
No, you've been represented by them before?
By
That
my
firm?
law firm, Whiteford, Taylor, and Preston?
Have you ever hired them as lawyers?
No.
Do you have any objection to me sitting today on this case?
No.
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure. All right, so this is an application for a new Class B beer, wine, liquor restaurant license.
Yes, absolutely. So Jimmy's been around for about 75 years now?
72.
72. And Mr. Rudy bought the building and business about a year and a half ago. After he bought the place, he did amazing renovations, did the minimum required plus. Now his objective is they open another 75 years, hopefully, with the addition of this new beer, wine, liquor license for his location. And he's making the outdoor seating legitimate now, too. So we have the investment breakdown. I'm not sure if you have a copy of this.
I don't know whether it's in the file, but thank you. for
And this has already been
providing.
expended beyond and above the purchase price of the building and the business. Obviously, the building doesn't go towards it, but the fixtures, another $1.5 million was for the building and the business and the fixtures.
Okay, and it does seat 75 people?
Yes.
Okay. The commissioners have questions?
75 is inside, doesn't include outside.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
We don't include the outside seating in the count. You can have that. Could are you the person that's also on a license in Howard County?
Yes, I am.
And-
Actually, Zawar Khan is my wife too.
You and your wife have a license in Howard County?
Correct.
And you're applying, just you, for Baltimore City?
Correct.
So with respect to the Howard County license,
Uh-huh.
have there been any issues with
I don't have
that
any
Howard County Liquor Board?
Not even the one issue.
Not even one? And how long have you had that license?
It's 2010,
So for about 7-8 years?
7, 8 years.
Okay.
I mean, before that too, I mean, I was manager Double T Diner. I never issued for that too. but
You were
not even
manager,
Double T Diner.
you managed the Double T Diner?
Before.
Okay, was your family the
family. Yeah,
owner of Double
We are
T?
the, like friends, long time.
Okay,
Ellicott City, not for here. Howard County again.
okay, all right, all right.
You look confused.
Well, there's other issues with Double T Diner that have nothing to do.
I know, there are other issues.
And I wish that you hadn't even brought it up,
No,
because it's
not my
distracting.
issue, no.
Not your issue.
No.
Not your rodeo,
No.
not your horse, okay.
Is there
All right.
an issue, Mr. Akers?
If I may approach?
Yes.
Yes, can you be sworn in, please?
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I just want,
State your name.
Thomas Akras, AKRAS, Deputy Executive Secretary, Baltimore City Liquor Board. I just want to bring to the board's attention Section 121710, which holds that if a license is issued to an existing location that has a license, which is a Class D license, after the license has been, if the board approves and the license has been issued to the location, the licensee has 180 days to file a transfer application, or that license is revoked. And I wanted to make sure that that was on the record, so there's no misunderstanding, because this place does have a current.
Yeah, and that,
The application is timely.
Okay, I'm sorry.
This application is timely?
Yes, this application's done.
All right.
We can address that, actually. Thank you
yeah,
so
because
much.
that was my next
We already
area
have a
of
purchaser
questioning.
for the license. The deposit's been placed down, so after this transfer hopefully goes through, we have the purchaser ready to go.
Already begun.
Yeah,
But this isn't a transfer, this is, you're applying for a new license.
yes, yes.
And then the existing license
Somebody's
is,
already interested.
Exactly.
all right. Just real quickly, why are you doing this? Why are
Yeah,
you?
why I'm doing this actually is, this one is all Jimmy's doesn't need it for actually is liquor. So now I spend all money for upon they close used to be 3 o'clock. So now we open dinner. So I have a restaurant in Howard County, Turkish cuisine. Now we're doing after 3 o'clock, totally different menu, Mediterranean cuisine. So most people come in like asking cocktails. So that's all about.
So you're trying to conform the license to the
Correct,
actual business?
Correct.
Okay.
Like people come in like lamb, they eating lamb dish like stuff. They want to have some like cocktail. So that's all about. So
The
Okay,
existing license only provides for beer and wine.
okay,
right now it's beer and wine, correct?
okay. All right, I understand. Thank you.
Anything further?
Nope.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. On the basis of the material contained in the application, the exhibits which will be received, the proffers from your representative here today, and testimony that we've received, I would vote to approve the application.
I vote to approve.
I would concur and also make note of the investment, on the renovation investment of $529,000 that's included in the exhibits.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I'd like to call the exhibits for the record.
Thank you.
Applicant Exhibit 1, capital investment breakdown. Thank you.
It's good.
Brendan Dorr and Eric Fui, Middle Zoo Beverage Group LLC, trade name pending, 2220 North Charles Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license under the provisions of Article 12-1603, small e, 2, small I, requiring $50,000 in capital investment. A request for live entertainment as well. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Abraham Hurdle on behalf of Middle Zoo Beverage Group LLC. With me is Mr. Dewar and Mr. Foy.
Before you go further, I'm going to swear them, okay? Good morning. Would everyone who's going to testify please raise your right hand?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, Mr. Hurdle?
This application for Class BD7. It's one of the new licenses under the old Goucher redevelopment district. We do have a breakdown of the expenditures that are estimated at this time. They wildly exceed the requirement for $50,000, and my belief is that the $243,000 listed will also probably be an underestimate as the total expenditures. I also have a new floor plan that's going to detail the layout of the bar. I don't have a floor plan for this, Stacy. I apologize.
All right. You have mine.
This, the floor plan?
Correct. I only have copies on the board. I'm
I'll make sure
one of the-
that it's made into part of the record.
Thank you. Mr. Dewar and Mr. Foy both have significant experience in the industry. I'd like to call them to testify, to speak to that experience if possible.
But just tell us, and then I'll ask them if that's true, if that's accurate, okay?
I honestly couldn't recall how many
Okay,
years. I
well,
know they've
let's
been in
go.
it for a significant amount of time.
All right, Mr. Dorr?
Brendan Dorr. Myself and my business partner, we've been bartending together for over 12 years.
Where was
that? First at Ixia, on North Charles Street, and now at B&O American Brasserie, which is also on North Charles Street at the Hotel Monaco. We've been working together for, as I said, 12 years, but we've both been in the industry longer than that, working behind the bar, and both approved.
And you're
tips approved.
You're approved, and you have experience with purchasing wholesale.
That is correct.
Alcohol and managing and carding.
That is
minors.
correct. 100%.
Okay. And the plans for this establishment are?
Our plans are to run a higher-end cocktail bar establishment. That is kind of what our focus has been for the past time that we've been together. We just have always wanted to do an establishment that brings the finer side of cocktails and service to our guests.
Will there be any food?
There will be food. It'll be more smaller items, charcuterie, small sandwiches, different mixed plates of nuts and things like that to be able to enjoy. We are also considering doing kind of pop-up evenings where we'll bring in chefs to do food items.
What will the live entertainment consist of?
The live entertainment is not going to be really used that often, but we would like to have evenings where we could bring in, small jazz groups, things like that. I am a Peabody graduate, and so I have connections to friends who do perform live jazz. So just little two-piece bass and saxophone kind of thing.
Okay. Commissioners?
What's at the location now?
There is nothing at the location currently.
It's an empty lot?
It's an empty building. It was a home that is commercially zoned. In the back, the property owner does have two catering businesses. One of them has just moved out. I think they're retiring. And then the one in the very back of the property in the carriage house is Kinderhook. So if you're familiar with Kinderhook Baked Goods, they're in the back of the property. Kerfuffle was the catering business that was attached to the main house.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Greenfield?
And this is a license, Mr. Hurdle, that was authorized, one of the licenses authorized during the General Assembly last session.
That's correct.
87, $50,000 of investment and location within a specific area.
Correct.
And it appears that this location fits within that. Is that accurate?
That's correct. It also has a specific carve-out for the zoning within that legislation as well.
The gentleman here to my left, they are in support.
Yeah, everyone on this side is the good guys. I don't.
Do you
make
want to
judgments.
identify yourselves for the record, please?
Mr. Cross? Mr. Cross, can you tell us what your position is in the area and whether you support it or not?
My name is Kelly Cross. I'm president of the Old Goucher Community Association. We strongly support Brendan and Eric's application. As you all know, this is an effort, an initiative that our community association started a year ago, and we've carefully curated the businesses and the operators who are coming into the community. So we are enthused and very excited about their opening.
Just one last thing. I just want to make sure that, did we get his name for the record?
Spell it. Cross, C-R-O-S-S.
Okay. Mr. Klepper and others?
Hello, Stephen Klepper, with Stephen with a V, K-L-E-P-P-E-R. I'm a principal with Cramon and Graham, an appellate attorney. I have known Brendan and Eric for 13 years. They are friends. They run innovative cocktail events. They are truly dedicated community members. They very frequently help to run charitable events at the B&O Brasserie. They are upstanding people who bring a very good name to this initiative by the General Assembly.
Okay, thank you. The other gentleman?
And your name and spell?
Yes, James Stevenson, Stevenson with a V. I've been friends of both Brendan and Eric for 16 years now. And in that time, I've also seen them just working in a professional capacity, as I've been a patron of both Ixia and B&O. And I have always seen them just exhibit nothing but dedication, hard work, and a lot of innovative approaches to cocktails. So I think I'd be very excited to see what they can do.
Thank you very much. Last gentleman here.
Jed Weeks, Jedweeks. I'm just here as a friend today, not with Greater Wilmington Improvement Association. I've known Eric and Brendan for about 5 years, and they are not only leaders in Baltimore in their field, but leaders in the entire country. And I think it's really, really great that they're coming out of their current business and starting their own small business together in a neighborhood that I love. My office actually shares an alley with this, so I'm going to be there hopefully the day it opens. So thank you.
Thank you. So the commissioners have further questions?
Just, and maybe Mr. Cross is the one to answer this, because I know how involved you are in Old Goucher, and that area of North Charles Street, it does seem to be changing a little bit, but one of the issues of longstanding is loitering and people clustering outside of businesses. And I would just like to hear a little bit, for the record, what your thoughts are about that and how you would plan to address that as a new business.
Oh, sure.
Or whoever wants to answer.
So it obviously is something that we have thought a lot about, just because we notice it as well. One thing that is nice about this property is that it does have a courtyard out back. So our goal is actually to allow people to use our courtyard in the rear instead of loitering on the street, to allow them to go out to the rear of the property if they need a cigarette, and to keep the concentration of people inside and to the rear of our property, which is not it's connected to the alley, but it is gated back there, so they won't be wandering into the alley. We do hope to help improve the neighborhood and keep that kind of thing to a minimum as best as possible.
I think I can add to that too, if that's possible. Mr. Cross and I have had some discussions regarding this area, and one of the reasons to put these licenses in is that there are no real evening establishments in the area. So people loiter around and there's nobody to kind of shoo them away. There's no patrons going to businesses that make them uncomfortable to loiter. This should change some of that. There'll be businesses, there will be security on some nights if they're needed, and that should help kind of get people who are just loitering and hanging out, kind of moving on their way. Hopefully not to just down the next street, but on to wherever they need to go.
Thank
Anything
you.
further? Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials that we have, including the legislation authorizing this, the proffers from council, the testimony we've received, the support from the other individuals here, I vote to approve the application.
I vote to approve for the same reasons.
I concur, and just a comment, it's a real testament to the community and entrepreneurs coming together to actually make something positive occur, and I give Mr. Cross and the licensees, a lot of credit for that, so congratulations.
Good luck.
Thank you. May we
Thank you very
excuse?
much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Herda.
Thank you all.
I'd like to call the exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, capital investment. Applicant Exhibit 2, floor plan. Thank you.
Do you need something?
Take care.
Amy Miller and Stanley Freeman, Reed Park, Inc., trading as The Drinkery, 203-09 West Reed Street. This is the Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership, requesting live entertainment. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadansky representing the licensee.
Morning. Would you raise your right hand, please, ma'am?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And you are Amy Miller?
Yes.
Okay, so my recollection is that this establishment was the subject of a protest last year, and that there was an elderly licensee who has, I think, passed away now?
Yes.
Yeah, what happened was, and this is, you approved the transfer to Ms. Miller last January due to the fact they couldn't get it done in 108 days and the untimely passing of Mr. Allen. At the time, there was a lot of things that were going on. That period expired, so she's back here for what you approved in January. As you know, second verse, same as the first. It's no difference. She's been there running the place the last 2 or 3 years. Just that she couldn't get in a request for a timely for a hardship extension. The time expired. Mr. Allen also expired after being there for a while. So I would say 98% of everything that had to be done is done, and just needs to be, reapproved to Ms. Miller. No changes in the operation, same as it was before.
Commissioners have questions?
No, I think you've been before us so many times that
Yeah.
it would be inauthentic to pretend that you haven't been. I think that we are familiar with this location.
If you could, Ms. Miller, just speak to your outreach and work with the community.
Well, we signed the MOA. And I've upped the security, upped the cameras, all that stuff. We haven't had any incidences, nothing. Everything's been, thank goodness, quiet. So that's good.
Noise as well, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Everything's been actually scary quiet, but, that's
So
good.
when this was approved previously, it was subject to the terms of an MOU?
Yes.
It's in the file, and it's going to
Yep.
same,
You're going to
exactly the same
continue?
Yes,
environment.
oh, yes, yes.
So just to the extent that the terms of that are enforceable, that would be a restriction on the license. You understand?
Yes.
Okay, anything further? On the basis then of the material that we have, the testimony, the proffers, and the long history that the board has with this particular license, I would vote to approve the application.
Thank you. I feel like I need to put you on my
And it
Christmas
will be
card.
subject, as I said, to the MOU.
Right.
you.
And I concur and just comment, just appreciate all of the efforts to not just craft the MOU, but to comply with it. And it's just a real testament to sometimes giving a second look is the right thing to do, and
Right.
it's the right thing for the community and the
I agree.
business.
And I concur as well.
Thank you, good luck.
Thanks.
Yep.
No exhibits.
Oops.
Suklokchana Acharya, Dolnath Giemeyer, and Eric Emerson, Grow LLC, trading as Corner Liquor Mart, 4742 Frederick Avenue. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kaninsky, representing the proposed licensees.
Good morning. Are all these folks going to testify, Mr. Kaninsky?
I'll proffer, but I want to just, where's the? Well, after you swear them in, I'll explain.
All right, everyone, please raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, and folks, when you speak, you first have to step up and identify yourselves, okay? Mr. Kaninsky?
Transfer an existing location. The applicants that are here have been actually in there for about the past 6 or 7 months, working the place. The gentleman at the very end is the current licensee, has been helping them. The young lady here lives, she's in there every day working. She lives a half a block away. Gentleman lives like 2 blocks away. They're all active in operating the business. This gentleman is in there every day, and the young lady's in there on the weekends. They have gone to, I think it's the Tremont Improvement Association. They've been to some of their meetings, have talked with them, and they are familiar with the alcohol awareness. They operate a grocery store there along with it. It's probably 50-50 grocery store. And
Who among these people are the applicants?
the 3 are here. These,
The 3 or 4 of you. Raise your hands, who's the applicants? Okay, just wanted to be clear on that. All right, thank you. So this is a packaged goods store?
And grocery.
And grocery, okay. And it's been in operation how long?
Well, it's been there for a number of years. The gentleman in the end who's licensee, he's been there other like 7 years.
Mhm.
They've been there helping out for the last 6 or 7 months, running the place to get it transferred. Originally, the paperwork was done, and they hadn't been able to complete it. I think, do you know Charlie Sung? Do you know who I'm talking about? He's one of the commissioners of Howard County Liquor Board. He was involved in some of the original transaction, and a little bit of a conflict, so he asked me to pick it up from there.
Okay, and that, you have not had problems with the liquor board?
No.
And your name, sir?
Arun Ali.
Okay, ALI?
A-L-I. H-A-R-O-O-N-A-L-I-N.
Okay, commissioners have questions?
So, do you have any concerns about this location and your ability to continue operating at this location? I mean, you're aware of the limitations on your use as a liquor store, right?
You've explained
I
to
need
them
you
that.
to.
I've
I
never
need
seen
you
it.
to-
Which, see, the only news they come in and I never see it.
Well, but let
No,
me just find out from them. Maybe you already informed them
Yeah,
that
but
there's a zoning
alcohol
issue.
awareness, and they,
No, about the zoning
The
issue.
zoning issue.
the zoning issues that the zoning is gonna change.
Correct.
Maybe in 2 years from June, the zoning would indicate that you may have to move your license, or you could ask for a hardship extension for another year unless the legislation changes it.
They're aware of that?
Yeah.
Yep, and they're nodding, let the record reflect that they are both nodding their heads, and you're aware of that as well, too, sir, correct? And council has represented, so that's, you're purchasing this business with that awareness and subject to the possibility of this license going away in 2 years, correct? Okay, thank you.
I assume it's reflected in the price, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so.
Do you have any questions? All right. Thank you. On the basis of the information contained in the application, proffers from council, the testimony we've received, and the admonition that you just received from Commissioner Moore, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve.
I would as well.
Good luck.
Sir?
I'd call
Sir?
exhibit for the, I'd call exhibit for the record.
I
Board
think he's
Exhibit
getting a
1.
name first,
Oh,
Stacy.
okay.
The gentleman.
Jisara Osioma. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Can we go back on that?
Yes.
Nice. I'd like to call the exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, email from Barbara Valerie dated November 1st, 2017. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Jisara Osisioma Okegbu Nwako and Alosi Ofa Nwako Holdings LLC, trading as Montego Bar and Grill, 1818 North Charles Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment. Please come forward.
Gentlemen, raise your right hands, please.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Sir, what is your name?
Okibo Nwoko.
Okay, and your name, sir?
Alosia Nwoko.
Okay, and there's another applicant.
Chisara Osisioma, that's my wife.
Oh.
She's not here today.
Okay. So you've applied for the transfer of this license with continuation of live entertainment. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Ifani Okibo Nwoko. We have some experience in the business working for H2O in Washington, D.C. Did own my own establishment, Karma Restaurant in Largo, from 2009 to 2012. Currently in school, Stratford University for culinary school. So we, you know.
And what about the other gentleman here? Do you have any background in the alcohol business?
I do not know.
No. What is your background?
I currently work as an actuary for the Maryland Insurance Administration.
Are you going to continue in that job as well?
I plan to, and support him where needed currently. I've been working with him in the construction and renovation phase of the business.
Are you going to be working actually in the bar and grill, though, as well as the construction? And once it opens, are you going to be there on a regular basis?
Occasionally, but no.
Not regularly?
No.
Okay. And you, I assume, are trained?
I am, yes.
With respect to the sales and purchase and serving minors and all the other issues?
Correct, yes.
Go with that, okay. And what about your wife? Is she going to be on staff?
My wife will definitely be on staff, yes.
And what is her background?
Her background, she's Nigerian, so she and her mom owned a restaurant while there. She will be doing most of the cooking. She will get her certification for alcohol handling. We did have a set of twins, so that's why things were kind of delayed, premature.
You have twins recently?
Yes.
When?
We had twins in May 7th of this year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Boys, girls, both?
Both boys.
Oh, okay.
It's a month-old daughter.
Well, I guess that will keep her busy.
Yes.
And you.
Yes. So I left my full-time job. I'm by trade started off as an investment banker with Salman Smith Barney in New York on Wall Street, and then with Citigroup, and then with Global Payments as a project manager. So left that to chase my dream as a culinary expert. So enrolled in Stratford University, taking classes there, and pretty much want to bring something new to the community. building upon what the former owner was doing there.
And will you be just continuing what's there, or are you going to be closing and renovating, or what was the plan?
Yeah, so we actually purchased all our licenses, so we could have opened the very next day, but we felt that with the community and how it was changing, we wanted to offer something more upscale. So instead of the takeout, which she used to do, we're doing more of a plated, more of a seated environment. We have some jazz brunches for the weekends planned, some kizomba dances, which is like a West African salsa dance. We have somebody coming out for that. I'm not sure if you've heard of Warm Wednesdays, started by Walter Jones. It used to take place in 5 Seasons on Charles, then moved to 5 Seasons on Guilford. But they'll be coming on board to do that kind of poetry night. We currently have students lined up with paintings to exhibit there and help them sell. So we want to involve the community in that aspect as far as the arts and the culture and cuisine.
That's excellent. Okay, thank you. The commissioners have questions?
The Warm Wednesdays, what is that?
Warm Wednesdays is one of the longest spoken word events in the country. It's by Walter Jones, who's a friend of mine. The 5 Seasons have recently closed, so they've been looking to house the event. So I've talked to him. He's very excited to come on board, and we started. It's pretty much poets from all over the country coming every Wednesday and doing their stand-up
My
routines.
daughter's participated in
Okay,
it.
so
My
she-
older girl is
Okay.
my artsy girl. Now, the owner of 5 Seasons, is he going to be involved in the operations other than Warm Wednesdays?
He's not. He was just a promoter.
Okay, so he's-
not. The owner has nothing to do with anything.
Okay, all right, because there were issues with 5 Seasons, and I just would not want to see them replicated at your business.
We don't plan on having any issues.
You're going to maintain control
100%.
and management?
100%.
Okay.
And you're
Okay.
Irish?
I was no. Well, by birth, yes.
You didn't live there very long?
2 years.
Oh, okay.
I think of all the applications we've seen, this is the first one where all 3 owners were born.
Different
We've got London, Ireland, and Lagos, Nigeria, so it's very eclectic.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, no other questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay. On the basis then of the information contained in the application, the testimony that we've received this morning, I would vote to approve the application.
I vote to approve.
I concur. Best of luck.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Here you go, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Does he not have the docket?
Emmaus Abe and Almaz Nagash, HNY Entertainment LLC, trading as Charm City Life Club, 407 East Saratoga Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Gary Maslin on behalf of the applicants.
Can I ask them to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mr. Chairman, this is an application to transfer an existing liquor license that's right across the street, formerly trading as Paparazzi nightclub. Ms. Nagash is the primary member, owner, operator. She is of Ethiopian descent. She recognized there was a need in the community for a venue to cater to the burgeoning Ethiopian community that exists here and both in Washington, D.C. She has been joined by this gentleman who formerly operated a nightclub in Washington, D.C. for 20 years and has vast experience in that business. And he will be primarily in charge of the operations, because he worked for 20 years in that area. We are retaining on the services of Brian Winfield, who is the current licensee. Mr. Winfield is a well-known, I call him a celebrity, really. He operates the hot dog stand during the day that was on the corner there. And he knows, he's got excellent relationships with the church and all the neighboring properties involved. We're also going to retain the existing security company who has providing security for this location for the past 20 years. The gentleman in the end, would you identify yourself, sir?
James Tempston.
And Mr. Tempston also works with Baltimore City and with the Health Department. And what is the initiative you're working on with the Baltimore City right now? Safe Streets. He's very familiar with this location. There have not been any problems at this location since he's been providing the security and his services. He's staying on board and has met with these individuals.
How long did Mr. Winfield have the license?
Since 2012.
Have you had any problems with the liquor board?
Nothing major.
Okay.
Been involved with the ownership since 2012. We haven't had any major violations or any problems.
We've never closed you.
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
What my client wants to do is open up and reach out to the many diverse, and what she calls a charm city, and she really wants to bring in all the different ethnicities that are comprised Baltimore. Baltimore historically we had identifiable Greek communities, Polish communities, German communities, Jewish communities, and she wants to reach out and have a center where all ethnicities, Afro-American ethnicities, thank you, are welcome and can do. I'd encourage her to even do bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs there, and she assured me they would be open for that, and weddings. So
now, is she going to be hands-on working there as well?
Yes, they're all.
And will
of
she be
these
trained?
individuals. Yes, she is. She has been worked in the alcohol business for the past 10 years, helping out her brother, who operates a liquor store on Eastern Avenue. Her brother, who's also president of court, Mr. Nagash, operates the parking lot, which is adjacent to this facility. So he will be providing ample parking for any of the patrons coming to the establishment. It's a well, finely tuned machine. They have the security, they have the parking, they have the management, and they're looking forward to getting open and hoping to having a big Ethiopian Christmas party if we can get the license transferred and get through all the little
Okay.
problems.
Commissioners have questions?
What about an Ethiopian Hanukkah?
The bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs will be.
Mr. Moore?
How far is Bell Camp from Baltimore? You currently live in, Ms. Nagash, you currently live in Bell Camp? Can you step forward for just a moment, please?
Yes, I do.
And how far is that from Baltimore City?
Probably 40 minutes.
It's Hartford County, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and is it your plan to be here every day or every night to operate the business?
Probably 4 days, 3 days.
3 or 4 days a week? And what is the plan, who will manage in your absence?
I live within.
You might want to come up to the microphone.
I live within 10 minutes of the place.
Okay.
And to her credit, she does work at her brother's store every day. We're a nightclub, so we're not open, but no more than 4 nights a week. Mostly weekends, some Mondays for Monday Night Football maybe, but for the most part, Thursday through Sunday.
So the plan for Charm City Life Club will be 3 or 4 nights a week?
Yes.
I don't think we ever get to a point where we're running 7 days a week, but but for the most part, a weekend nightclub, but will be times where you have maybe one night of a Wednesday night of entertainment or something, but for the most part, maybe 3 nights a week, 3 to 4 nights a week.
Okay. All right, I appreciate the clarification.
No problem.
All right, thank you.
If there's nothing further, we'll rule on the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from counsel, and testimony we've received. I would vote to approve the application.
I vote to approve.
I would concur, and I note that it's with the continuation of the live entertainment as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
No exhibits for the record.
Have a good day.
sorry.
That concludes the
Uh,
AM.
Oh, that's the
play
AM
with me.
docket, okay.
The board is
we
in
will-
recess until 1 p.m.
Thank you. Mr. Page, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Now begins the PM session of the Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being a preliminary matter on the PM docket, case number 21812 West Pratt Street, an application for transfer of ownership. That matter has been postponed. All interested parties will be notified as to the new date and time. Call the case of Jace Flickinger and George Marsh III, Market Bar LLC, trading as Grand Cru, 5911 York Road. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership with continuation of outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, counsel.
Good afternoon, Craig Schwartz on behalf of the applicants.
Can I ask those gentlemen to raise their right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Schwartz?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. Before the board is a transfer application filed on behalf of Market Bar LLC, Jace Flickinger and George Marsh. This is for a transfer of the license located at 5911 York Road, pursuant to a contract of sale to buy the assets of the current owner, which is BSQ Wine Co. LLC. It trades as Grand Cru. You might be familiar with the location at Belvedere Square.
I am. I don't know about my colleagues.
Very much so.
Okay. I have both applicants here today under oath, but with the board's permission, I would proceed by way of proffer. Mr. Flickinger has verified that he signed the application personally, that it's been filed with this board, that the information was true and accurate at the time of the signing, and that the information remains true and accurate today. Mr. Flickinger is an authorized person on behalf of the LLC, as is stated in the operating agreement for purposes of applying for and holding the license as a licensee. He is also the managing member of the LLC. Mr. Flickinger does not presently have an interest in any other license. He was previously employed by Chesapeake Beverage and Craft Brand Chesapeake Beverage as a craft brand manager, but he resigned from that position effective August 29th, 2017, so he's no longer employed with Chesapeake Beverage. Mr. Flickinger will be the full-time manager of the bar. He has a wealth of experience. He was part of the Woodbury Kitchen Group. He was a bartender at Shoe Fly, a bar manager at Woodbury Kitchen. He was the opening general manager and beer director at Parts and Labor, craft sales director for Chesapeake Beverage, and actually an employee at Grand Cru previously for 4.5 years. There are no plans to make any changes to the establishment or the operations or the menu.
There was no menu when I was there last. Not going to make any change to that?
We're going to actually reopen the menu.
Okay.
Two of the cooks left during the sale, and
Could you state your name?
oh,
for the
absolutely,
record?
Jace Flickinger. Two of the cooks left during the sale, and rather than hiring 2 more cooks and onboarding, we just kind of operated as is.
You really disappointed my wife. After the movie, she wanted to get something to eat
I
there.
would have been disappointed too.
Okay. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay, thank you. A copy of the floor plan of the establishment is in the board's file as submitted previously. Mr. Flickinger has received a copy of the rules and regulations of this board. He understands the importance for compliance with that. He does have his alcohol awareness certification, a copy of which is also in the board's file. There is a plan to have all employees who will handle alcoholic beverage get alcohol awareness certified. Mr. Flickinger spoke with Dr. Vicki Miller, who's the president of Belvedere Improvement Association, and Dr. Miller confirmed that the association has no objection to the transfer of the license. She also explained to Mr. Flickinger that the association is no longer issuing formal letters of either support or opposition, but that she does approve and not object to the transfer. Mr. Flickinger also met in person with Councilman Bill Henry, who indicated that as long as Belvedere Improvement Association does not object to the transfer, he has no objection. He also stated that if Belvedere Improvement Association is not going to submit a letter, he would not submit a formal letter either. That would be the proffer of the testimony that would be presented by Mr. Flickinger.
Is Mr. Marsh going to be involved in the operation as well?
Mr. Marsh is not going to be intensively involved in the operation. He is the Baltimore City resident. He too has confirmed with me that he signed the application that is with this board and that the information was true and accurate at the time he signed it, and it remains true and accurate today. He too is the second authorized person on behalf of the LLC to apply for the license, as is stated in the operating agreement. He's a resident of Baltimore City for 9 years, a taxpayer, and a registered voter. He does not presently have an interest in any other liquor license. He, too, has received a copy of the rules and regulations, and he understands that even though he is just a Baltimore City resident on the liquor license, that as a licensee, he's responsible for compliance with those rules and regulations.
Okay, but you're not going to be working at Grand Cru?
No.
Okay. The commissioners have questions?
As you've been talking, I've been thinking about a relationship that I have with the owner and management company of their landlord, and so I'm going to recuse myself from this case, from consideration.
Thank you. Commissioner Greenfield, do you have any questions?
I do not. Well, Mr. Flickinger, any issues in any of the places you've worked in the industry, any violations, anything that you could?
No, sir.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Okay, anything further?
No, thank you.
Thank you. On the basis of the information contained in the application, the proffers from counsel and testimony we've received today, I'd vote to approve the application.
I would concur.
So it's a 2-0 with one abstaining or recused vote, so it's approved. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'll be back.
Sorry, I didn't think
As
that.
long as it is for the record.
As long as we have 2 beers.
Right.
No, you're welcome.
Alberto Hernandez, Freelance Oriental Sports Bar, 3820 East Pratt Street. This is a Class D beer and wine license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
In the record, Melvin J. Konetsky representing the applicant.
Good afternoon. May I ask you gentlemen to raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. This is a transfer of an existing beer and wine license at 3920 East Pratt Street. License had been there for a long time. It's a small little corner place, neighborhood bar. I think his name was Mr. Schaefer's there. For a long time, he had passed away, and then his wife had it, and then she sold it to the landlord, and here, Mr. Holland, and he searched to try to find somebody to reopen it. Mr. Hernandez is going to be a sole proprietor. He was going to operate the place basically as a sports bar with a couple TVs. Going to open in the afternoons through closing. To have 2 or 3 employees. Try to hire people from the neighborhood if possible. I'll take the alcohol awareness course. He'll familiarize himself with the rules and regulations of the liquor board, and the lease would be contingent upon the approval of the transfer of the license. He presently is a painting contractor. He's going to continue to be a painting contractor part-time. He has other employees. He has experience. He worked in the place and for 3 or 4 days a week up on Eastern Avenue. He was a bartender and also worked generally in that business. So he is familiar with the area, with the neighbors. I talked to the landlord and Mr. Hernandez, a lot of the people that are there, a lot of retirees and stuff that in that Hollandtown area. They used to like to go in there and sit down and watch. Last night would have been a good night to be in there.
They were open that late.
Well, that's really, 11 o'clock, they're really in the sixth inning. That's one of them slow pitch deals. That's how I play.
Well, I hope you're going to show college basketball.
Well, he's probably more soccer, up there.
Maybe. So, Mr. Holland, is it?
Yes, sir.
Has the place had any problems?
Yes, sir.
And the community organizations, have you had any relationship with them?
Not with any organization, sir, but I have spoken with several of the neighbors, and they all want to see it open again.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
So the plan, well, I guess I'm sort of a little distracted or confused by the name Oriental Sports Bar. What does that mean, and how does that, what does that tell us about the business that you want to run?
Well, the name is not like, well, we were thinking, I mean, with my wife, what kind of name we can use, so it just came out, It's just-
Oriental.
We don't have a place, used to have TVs, watch sport, soccer, we like soccer, so
So Oriental is just
Yeah.
something different.
yeah.
But it
We were thinking of different names, but we decided, I don't know why, just that one, it just
Well, listen,
sounds different.
if your wife was the one that selected that name, I think that's the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And your hours are going to be, what are the hours going to be?
For the bar, it's gonna be from 11 to 1.
11 p.m., 11 a.m.,
Yeah.
11 a.m. 11 a.m.
Before noon, 11 a.m.
Yeah, early,
to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think I'm hearing that there were no issues with the neighborhood, that they want this to open.
Yeah, it was just a neighborhood staple for a long, long time, and as Mr. Schaefer got ill, he passed away, and his wife works at Mercy, and she just couldn't handle it, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Mr. Kadensky, can you just speak to the viability of this license? Because it appears that it appears that it is viable. I just went through the record just to make sure, but I want to, for the record, it seems that it was closed around December 31st of 16, and we then granted a
Hardship extension, and was filed within the time period. As if you may or may not remember, because it was bought by a contract purchaser, and he needed to have it extended. Then Mr. Holland came and purchased it and found Mr. Hernandez, so it is within the time period.
Thank you.
Okay. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from counsel, and the testimony received, I'd vote to approve the application.
I vote to approve.
I concur.
Good luck.
Mr. Holland, what's your first name?
David?
No exhibits for the record.
I need, Mr. Kudowski, I just need to ask you a question real quick. Mr. Holland?
Linda Wright, Lee Rong Lu, and Yang Zhu, L. Lu Corporation, trading as Pride Grocery and Liquor, 2801 West Lafayette Avenue. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Jay Yu, representing the applicants, and applicants Ms. Linda Wright and Ms. Yan So, and Ms. Li Long Liu is present.
Ladies, will you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty? Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Affirm.
Okay. Mr. Yu?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a simple transfer for a change of ownership for a liquor store establishment located at 2801 West Lafayette. My clients do understand that this particular location has the liquor license that's only good until June of 2019, and they're fully aware of that. And their intention is to only operate until then as a liquor store. Preliminarily, I do have to bring to the Commissioner's attention that there is a amended application that was prepared because upon my client, Ms. Wright, receiving her fingerprint results, it was uncovered that she did have a conviction back in 1988 and 89, which she just didn't recall. It was 30 years ago, and she didn't recall. It's
Can we proceed with an amended application without notice?
Is there any problem with doing it without notice? Yes. You were sworn this morning. Do you need to be sworn again?
So, wait a minute, was it already amended?
Yes, Tom Akers, Deputy Executive Secretary. Is the applicant being amended, or is it just additional information that's being provided about the applicant?
It's just additional information.
If it's additional information, then the application hasn't been amended in a way that's substantial. It's information that the board can consider.
Okay.
Would you?
So it's amendment of page 2.
Can I see the amendment?
Sure.
Well, this is the amendment. I think, can I just speak freely? I mean, my
Go
thoughts.
ahead.
I mean, like you've ever been able to stop me, right?
Wouldn't dream of it.
My concern with this amendment is that it's a transfer, and I think the only real issue on a transfer is the background and qualifications of the applicant. And because this is a change that relates to one of the applicants, although she's only a 1% owner, she's going to be, an owner. I feel like we need to make sure that there's notice, and anyone who would have any objection could be heard. I just feel like we should follow formal. I don't think, I'm uncomfortable proceeding without our having given the proper notice. It's still the same applicant, but the change itself.
I'm not sure. What notice are we talking about?
Well, we make the applications available to the public. They're online. Anyone who wants to see our applications can do so and read them and come in and make comment if they have any objections to whoever is applying for a license. And the original application on its face gives no issues or concerns as to any of the applicants that in my view, but the revision might. That's just me. But.
Well, I guess I need to hear from Commissioner Greenfield. The fact that the problem dates back almost 30 years really ameliorates some of that for me, but I have to hear your thoughts.
30 years?
1988.
88.
So Mr. Akers, I want to make sure I understand the board's practice in this regard, because I don't know that we've had something like this. If it's not if it's just supplementing the applicant's information, personal information, has the board's practice been in a situation like this to proceed, or is it to send out notice again and put it on another docket?
So I guess it's categories of supplemental information. This is the first time, to the best of my knowledge, that somebody has provided additional information regarding a prior conviction. In other instances where somebody had stated, well, I didn't work for X employer, or I had been in Baltimore City for 9 years instead of 8 years, there are those kinds of informational amendments, which the board can look at and give weight to, whether it is an amendment that's worth or that justifies a postponement or it doesn't. In this case, before the board is just information, or not just, but information regarding a conviction, which, as Commissioner Moore said, may have, weight.
I understand her position. Could we hear, though, about these ladies before we make a decision?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
May I be excused?
Yes, thanks.
Miss Wright is 57 years old, and she has been a lifelong resident of Baltimore City. She's a registered voter and a property owner for 11 years. She has 1% interest in the corporation, and she'll be the resident agent licensee applicant. She has no, to my research, she had no serious traffic violations. It's just that she had this almost 30-year-old conviction that she totally forgot about until she got the fingerprint result. And to my surprise and to her surprise, it was just there. She had 9 children. She's been married for 30 years. She has been working for Johns Hopkins Health Systems for the past 23 years, and for the past 13 years as a lab technician for the phlebotomy department. Obviously,
Ask him if he can spell that.
obviously, she raised 9 beautiful children. She has been a law-abiding citizen for the past 30 years. And she's a devout Christian. And it was a bad check case, obviously. So
I understand. So tell us, and she's not going to be involved in the day-to-day operations?
no, she's not. She'll be a destination.
Well, tell us about the ladies who are going to be involved in the day-to-day operations.
Miss Yan Su is the daughter of Miss Li Long Liu. Mrs. Liu is the president of the corporation, 89% shareholder. Miss Su is 10% shareholder. They'll be running the operation together. Miss Su has been certified, but Mrs. Liu will be certified shortly. We went over the regulations thoroughly, and the most importantly, they do understand that they cannot purchase the liquor from anywhere else but the authorized wholesalers. They clearly understand that anybody who looks under 40, they have the card. They have to do that diligently. They also understand that anybody who comes into the store intoxicated or shows any sign of intoxication or drunkenness, that they must refuse service. They do understand that part, along with other specifics of the regulation.
Will they be the only people working at the store?
Her husband works part-time, helps out with the...
When you say her, you need to tell me who.
He's actually the landlord. He owns the property. Mr. Liu, who's the husband of Mrs. Liu.
Okay.
So they're originally from New York. Their daughter established herself in Baltimore about 7-8 years ago. And then, they missed their daughter, so they moved down to Baltimore, and they bought a place at 2801, and they're living there, and they're working there. And Ms. So has a background in running grocery stores, so this particular location allows the beer, grocery, and liquor. So after the license expires in June of 2019, they will be continuing as a grocery store because that's what they're good at.
Okay. Before the commissioners have questions, I just want to state a view of mine for the record that the fact that Ms. Wright is going to be the resident with a 1% interest, and the fact that for the last 20-some years or more, she's had a very respectable job and whatever. I'm not overly concerned with this very old conviction. The fact that the license is only going to be in place for less than 2 years also lends some credence to that for me. So I'm satisfied to go forward, but I'll hear from my colleagues.
Let me defer to to Commissioner Greenfield. Oh.
One more thing to add. As part of completing the application, if the board approves, we do our own background check. And if we find, for instance, that this conviction was a felony, this person cannot be on the license. And they would have to remove this person from the license, and there'd be another hearing to bring back, I'm sorry, Mrs. Wright, or replacement for Mrs. Wright. We wouldn't, and when the applicant fills out the application, the board does not check, do a background check.
If we go ahead and approve, we'll do it contingent upon that kind of an investigation.
And we can ask now if it's a felony conviction or not.
It's a misdemeanor.
It's a misdemeanor. Okay.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, all right. I mean, I don't have any issue with you. It seems that it was minor. It certainly was a long time ago. Yeah. It's not about you at all for me. Yeah. It's about notice to the public and our executing our duty and our responsibilities to make sure that the public who we act on behalf of has notice of who all the applicants are. And that is my only issue. You've probably drawn blood from me because you're a phlebotomist and I go to Hopkins and they take your blood. So I have no issue with you at all. It's the process. and preserving the process. That's my only issue. And I don't think that we acquit our responsibilities fully, even though this truly is minor. It truly is, but the process is important.
So I'm going to concur with the chairman on this. I think for the reasons he stated, I am mindful of what Commissioner Moore said. I checked our standard operating procedures. It doesn't seem that we speak to this issue specifically, so it may be something we want to update in the future. But given that this was 30 years ago and that there will be an additional layer of check that's contingent upon issuance of the actual license, I'm comfortable proceeding.
Yeah, I mean, I respect Commissioner Moore's position. Mine is based more on the fact that we're not changing the names of the applicants or the location or anything about the fundamental aspects of the application. You're adding information, and I understand her position that the public should know about that, but I find it de minimis, so I'm going to go along with Commissioner Greenfield, and we'll approve it 2-1, subject to the background check that the board will do. I mean, yes.
Well, I don't think you can. I see our job here as two parts. One, are we going to go forward with even considering this application? And I say no, you both say yes. So we're going forward. Now, in terms of the substance of the application, that's the separate issue that's the second issue for me. So I think we need to have a vote on to whether or not there's,
Whether we can go forward, is that
no,
what you've
you've already spoken about going forward.
Okay, so on-
Now, are we going to approve this license or not?
Okay.
Or these applicants?
Okay, I think you're right. I skipped ahead. So do you have questions for them?
I guess I better come up with some now, right? My main question is that you clearly understand and affirm your understanding that this license will only exist for 2 years because of the zoning issues, and that this license will then be gone. And I need you to state that you understand that, both of you. All
Yes.
three of you.
Yes,
You
I
understand that?
understand that. Yes.
All right. And Ms. Wright, you understand that as well?
Linda Wright, yes, I understand.
Okay, and the mother, is it Ms. Drew?
Yes.
You understand that? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Yu, I presume you've counseled your clients with respect to some of the details of our rules and regulations. I noticed that in a compliance check for the existing owner, there were some issues with liquor license or liquor invoices. And
Yes.
all of that. I assume that information and, what's supposed to be kept in files and on premises has already been provided.
Yes, it was reiterated numerous times.
Thank you.
Anything further?
No.
Okay, on the merits of the application, based on the material that's been presented, as well as the amended application, the testimony, and the proffers from counsel, I vote to approve.
On the merits, I approve.
On the merits, I concur and approve.
So good luck, ladies.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dana. I did
I'd like to
skip
call
it.
exhibits
I
for the
skipped right
record.
over that.
Board Exhibit 1, email from Barbara Valley dated 11/1/17. Thank you.
Which one?
Oh, okay, thanks.
Class.
Oh, so it's, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mohammed Minoshi, Moe's Crab and Pasta Factory, Inc., trading as Moe's Crab and Pasta Factory, 502 Albemarle Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Request for hardship extension. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanansky, Woodland Zoning Licensee.
Sir, will you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give and the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
That This is a request for a hardship extension. Mr. Minoche had two locations in Little Italy, one which was on President Street, and the other was on Albemarle Street. And with regard to their doing some improvements, they're going to tear most of those buildings down and put some high rises up there, including the old Delanote and so forth. They had made it a condition to buy the building and the property from Mr. Minoche. However, he would preserve the license because he still owed some money on some sales tax and some equipment and so forth that had to be paid out of the situation. So we had a buyer that was interested in the license. Of all places, it was on the corner of Eastern Avenue and High Street. Some of you may remember the old Babucci's restaurant there. But I think the guy who wanted to buy it had a case of the shorts, and we're trying to determine whether or not we can, make this viable or not. I think that in a situation, if we can get the hardship extension, then he'll be able to recoup the money, pay the state of Maryland and the other people that are owed out there.
And is that why the corporation's not in good standing, because he owes?
Yeah, because there's a sales tax situation out there has to be taken care of on that.
Okay. Do commissioners have questions?
No questions.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Well, I would, on the basis of what is contained here in the application, what you've told us, Mr. Kadensky, I'd vote to approve the hardship.
I do as well.
I concur.
No exhibits for the record.
Thank you.
Donald Higdon, Anthony Scardina Jr., and Anthony Scardina III, Higgies LLC, trading as Higgies 1184 Cleveland Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Sorry about that.
Yes,
Good
sir.
afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Peter Previs on behalf of the applicants who are all present.
The applicant gentleman over here would raise their right hand. This lady, and anybody else who wants to testify, raise your right hand. Mr. Fosler, please.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury that the answers that you give, the statements that you make will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
So this case was continued from a couple of weeks ago to determine the status of the license.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, two things. One is I represent the applicants. I had never represented the seller of the license. And Mr. Higdon, who's present here today, reached out to Mr. Schaefer, the seller. And he's retired, as we understand it, is in Florida now. So we did reach out to him to see if he had any records or documentation that could further assist the board. But being the buyers, we didn't have any access to that, and since he's
Did
in
you speak to
Florida-
him?
He had no.
Yeah,
no,
you
I
did
couldn't
speak
get
to
it.
him.
I talked to him a month ago.
You have to come up and state your name and.
State your
Donald
name.
Higdon.
Spell your name for the record.
Higdon.
Okay. And Mr.
I spoke to him approximately a month ago, and at that point, he just basically commented to me was, I don't own the barn anymore, I don't have anything to do with it. So he kind of.
Well, that was helpful.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So when that didn't occur, Mr. Chairman, I reviewed the liquor board file and did note that there was a note in the file from liquor board staff, along with a handwritten letter from Mr. Schaefer, the prior owner. He indicated that not this sale, but back in May of 2015, that he was attempting to sell the premise to someone who had gone in and started to do construction, but the deal fell through before anything was even penned. And that the inspectors had been coming in the spring of 2016 and the place was closed. The inspection report did note that the place was open during football season of 2015-16, and this was in June or May, or rather, of 16. Apparently, he wrote a letter. As best as I can tell, liquor board staff looked into it further and didn't see the need for a hardship hearing. Apparently, the place had been open, just not open every day, as best understand it. There are inspection reports, there's photographs of a fully stocked bar, and that's been going on for a year plus, probably closer to 2 years in the liquor board file. I did speak to Ms. Joanne Martin, who is the local inspector who has hands-on with this establishment. She's having dental surgery today, so she's not available. She said she would be more than happy to testify to the board to explain that she's been through there periodically over the last year plus, and the place has picked up its license. It's been open and compliant with the law.
So-
Chief Fossler is here and has
Yeah, we can
the
verify
records.
that, but, and ma'am, remind me of your name.
Sherry Seibel.
Okay, and you had objected at the last hearing because you live very close by, right?
Yes,
And you said that you didn't see evidence of it being open, is that correct?
correct. It's
Okay.
been closed for approximately 3 years.
And you don't believe it's even periodically open?
No, well, can I say what neighbors have said right across
You
the street
can't-
from it?
We have no strict rule against hearsay, we
okay.
just take it with a grain of salt.
Okay. They had said that on football games, that the owner would come down with some of his friends, and they would go in the bar and drink, but it wasn't open to the public. And another neighbor told me that she's seen the lady over there that used to do cleaning, she's seen her occasionally over there, but it hasn't been open to the public,
Okay.
so.
So let me hear from our chief inspector, okay?
Chief Inspector Mark Fossler, Baltimore City Liquor Board. I pulled up the inspections of this establishment. August 16, 2016, routine inspection was done by Inspector Martin. That included invoice from bond distributors that he had purchased alcohol on July 12, 2016. She did an compliance inspection in November 15, 2016. She did a subsequent compliance inspection in January of this year. January 24, 17, found the place open and operating. Inspector Martin, or Agent Martin, explained to me that this place is in her district and that she had gone by on multiple occasions and that the place wasn't open. But then when she would go by, she would look to see if the place was open. It wasn't. But then she would go by at other times and she found the place open. So it was apparently from her reports that it was open intermittently and complied with the conditions of the law.
But whenever she went there to do an inspection, they were open?
No, not all the time. I mean, that's what I'm saying. She wasn't, they weren't
In
open.
August of 16 and November of 16 and January of 17.
Yes, sir.
Commissioners?
It's kind of hard without Ms. Martin explaining her experience. I hear your testimony. Is it detailed how it came to be decided that it was open and operating to the public? Is there
Well,
anything that helps us understand what that means?
Well, I mean, she had some pictures of when they were open that she went in and, for example, the door was open and she went in and the television was on. So I can only surmise, and that Inspector Martin surmised that it was open to the public and that the bar, the conditions of the bar were clean and in a position to serve customers.
But there were no patrons.
There were no patrons when she went in.
Did she ever see patrons?
I can't honestly answer that question, Chairman.
Do we have any sales tax information that would show?
We have,
tax collected?
all we have is when she did the routine inspection in in August the receipt from the, from Bond Distributing Company for a purchase that was made in July 12th, 2016.
And when was the application to transfer filed?
If I could, Commissioner Moore, it's June 6th.
Of
So I think-
2017,
Yeah, because I think we're on the same page on timeline here.
yeah.
So Mr. Foster, if I could, Commissioner Moore?
Yeah, go ahead,
Just,
sure.
Chief Inspector Fossler, if we assume that it was open and operating on January 24th, 2017, based upon Agent Martin's compliance check,
Yes, sir.
then the application to transfer on June 6, 2017 would meet that 180 days, demonstrating that the license is valid.
Yes, sir.
Of course, that all is premised upon Agent Martin's compliance report, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand the timeline here. Okay.
But there were no visits between August 16, 2016, and January 24, 2017?
November.
There was one in November?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
November
There
15th.
was a compliance check on November 15, 2016.
Okay.
Is this as far as we got last time? Did we hear anything on the merits of this?
I think we
did the first time, but the issue was, I believe Commissioner Moore said, I'm not sure I'm comfortable ruling on this until we.
I don't think any of us
hash out-
were.
Yeah,
And
but I thought we did I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, it was, and the question was about the January, because I didn't know off the top of my head what the January inspection said.
And that was January 24, you said?
Yes, Chairman.
And there was some, so Mr. Schaefer is the seller, lives in Florida, contacted and said, I don't know anything because I don't own this place anymore,
Yes.
right? If he doesn't own it, who does?
He's the licensee, apparently. The building was purchased in March, is that correct? Correct. These three
2017.
gentlemen purchased the building on March 27th. So, it's unfortunate for us that we don't have his help here, but nonetheless, it appears from the file that the place was operating, that the issue was 2 years prior, not immediately prior to this. And the issue, the license was issued and he had opened and stayed compliant with the law.
Well, I guess the challenge, at least for me, is that there's the inspection reports, but then there's the neighborhood and the people that are the most proximate that are there every day, and they have a different view of what was happening at this location. So that's the challenge. There's definitely a conflict.
And I believe Ms. is it Seibel or Seibel, at our last hearing, I didn't hear an inconsistency in that the layman's view of open and operating is every single day with people going in and out and trash and all the rest that goes with it, as opposed to the licensee remaining compliant with the law. So I don't think Ms. Seibel disputes that. She's just saying the place wasn't open every single
I
day.
don't think she has the ability to dispute that, but what I'm hearing her say is that it was open for the owner to sort of have his football parties, but it was not open to the public. The public couldn't come in and purchase, beverages over the counter because he didn't allow it. But I don't know. That's just what I'm hearing from the testimony.
Part of what, the last time, I had gone to the old file, and I had brought some of the copies I copied from there, and it had said it was closed for 412 days as of the end of June 15.
I'm sorry, which old file?
The old file for this location.
Whose file?
Mr. Schaefer's, your old file.
The board's file?
The liquor board file.
Yes, I went to your office and looked through the old file, And I brought that paper with me last time, and you said that you were gonna look through the file. But this was what the inspector had written before, and at the very bottom there, it says it had been closed for 412 days. This is why you postponed it last time, to go back and check that, and the sales.
And
If I
whose-
may.
Do we know whose note this is?
Yeah, that's odd, it's not dated or a name.
There's no name or anything.
I don't believe it's an inspector's report. I think it's a note to the file to follow through with whether it had been closed.
We don't know
It's
what it
not.
is.
Yeah, because one of the inspector's reports indicates in May or June of 2016, the inspector went by and the establishment was closed, but one of the neighbors came by and said they haven't been open since football season, which would be January, February. What I gathered from that was a note from liquor board staff to check into it, but not a conclusion that the place had been closed 412 days.
But the difficulty is that we don't really have definitive evidence on either side. Mr. Schaefer is totally unhelpful. There are no records on your side. Our records are sketchy at best on the other side.
Take a look at it.
The standard of proof is pretty minimal. I guess it's preponderance. And I don't think any of us has a desire to kill a viable license, but on the other hand, this is
Okay.
really a difficult decision to make.
The Executive Secretary Page has some information.
Okay, Mr. Page?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, Mr. Krieger said that Mr. Schaefer said he's no longer involved, he sold the business, but has not physically transferred the license. Has settlement taken place at this location? On both the real property and the license?
They purchased the real estate. We understand that
So there's a
Mr. Schaefer
transfer
can't
of-
tell the liquor board
Right. There's a
what the law
transfer
is.
authorization form that must be completed before we physically transfer?
Correct.
Has that been done?
No,
So how can Mr. Schaefer then dissolve himself of
he
any
can't.
responsibility
He can't.
to your clients or this agency?
Right, I'm not presenting what Mr. Schaefer told Mr. Higdon as an excuse. I'm presenting it for the fact that I don't have the documentation that I would like to have.
But Mr. Schaefer stands to make $110,000 from the sale of this license. Is that correct?
Correct.
If he wants to sell this license, he better give us some information.
And we will make that request, Mr. Chairman, if so ordered, through Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah, I think we need his cooperation, because you don't want to pay for a license that's no good. And if he thinks,
We've already bought it.
I understand that,
Apparently, without counsel, they
Oh.
paid.
for the building. You've already paid for the license?
They paid all the consideration that Mr. Schaefer is to get.
So they've paid for the building and the license.
We did our due diligence to find out that the license was current, wasn't operating in any kind of violations.
And
So
the younger
we-
Mr.
we thought we
Scardina
had
went
done
by there, I
everything.
believe, and it was
Yeah.
open and operating, fully stocked and everything else.
Yes, yes. 'Cause,
When?
Come up, say your name, spell your last name for the record.
Tony Scardina, Scardina. It was right after March. I can't remember.
I love this testimony. Nobody remembers, nobody has any documents. Come on, when did you go?
Prior to purchasing the building, is that correct?
Yes.
Matter of some
Okay.
significance.
You went by there,
To check it out, yes.
and you live in South Baltimore?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not too far from where you live?
That's follow the train tracks and you're right there.
Okay.
Mr.
And the place
Chairman.
was open and operating?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Page.
For the purpose of physically transferring the license, we must have a notarized copy, the original, of the transfer authorization form by one of the sellers and the purchasers listing the date of settlement. We do not have that yet. So Mr. Schaefer is in fact still our licensee.
I absolutely agree.
Okay. Just want to be clear.
So, I don't know where that leaves your clients, but we need to have some information from Mr. Schaefer, and I guess we need to have that document, is that correct? So we can't proceed. So I have to set it back in again?
We will.
Okay. Ms. Seibel, you're welcome to come anytime you like. I don't know that you want to keep coming back here. We have your objections and testimony. I think we've heard you, but you're always welcome.
Okay, Thank you very much.
As are you, gentlemen. I mean, I have to tell you, I don't want to hurt you and your business in any way. But I have to
Does the
abide by the law.
inspector's report carry any?
It does, but it's pretty, bare bones. We don't have the inspector here who did it, but it does look like the application is timely based on our records, I'll give you that. We just need to know whether the license is viable.
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Page, if I could ask you a question, is this something where the commission sends a letter directly to Mr. Schaefer to solicit and make sure he understands that even though he believes that there was a transaction that occurred, that he's still on the hook here? And
Absolutely, Mr. Commissioner. We will notify Mr. Schaefer, and the burden will be on Mr. Schaefer to present, one, sales tax receipts, invoices to the agency for those time periods that are questionable. We will make that notification. To
And
Mr.
you
Schaefer.
can talk to your clients, because they may need some advice. Okay?
Thank you.
We'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have my folder, it's in the back.
Thanks, Mark.
I'm sorry, no exhibits for the record.
Adjourned?
I understand. It just is bad timing.
When's the last time she's appeared before the board?
I don't,
The board is in recess until November the 9th, 11 a.m.
Next Thursday?
Yeah.
All right. Super.